Ecclesiastes, according to the Orthodox Study Bible, chapter 1. The words of the preacher, the son of David, king of Israel in Jerusalem. Vanity of vanities, says the preacher, vanity of vanities, all is vanity. What advantage does a man have in all his labor, in which he toils under the sun? A generation comes and a generation goes, but the earth stands forever. The sun rises and the sun sets and returns to its place. The wind rises and goes toward the south, and swirls towards the north. The wind whirls in a circular motion, and returns full circle. All the rivers flow to the sea, yet the sea shall not be filled. To the place where the rivers flow, there they return again. All words are wearisome, and a man will not be able to save them. Neither will the eye be satisfied with seeing, nor will the ear be filled with hearing. What has been is what will be, and what has been done is what will be done. There is nothing new under the sun. Who will speak and say, "See, this is new"? For it has already been in the ages that have passed before us. There is no remembrance of former things, and indeed there shall be no remembrance of latter things, by the things that will come after that. I, the preacher, was king over Israel in Jerusalem. I gave my heart to seek out and to prepare myself in wisdom concerning all the things done under heaven, for God has given painful distraction to the sons of men to be occupied therewith. I beheld all the works done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity, and is the choice of one spirit. That which has been crooked cannot be made straight, and what is lacking cannot be counted. I spoke in my heart, saying, Behold, I have become great, and have acquired wisdom beyond all before me in Jerusalem, and my heart has experienced much wisdom and knowledge. I gave my heart to know wisdom and knowledge, to learn proverbs and understanding, and this too was waywardness of spirit. For in the abundance of wisdom there is abundance of knowledge, and he who increases knowledge will increase suffering. Chapter 2. I said in my heart, Come now, I will test you with merriment, and see if this is good. And behold, this too is vanity. I said concerning laughter, This is madness, and concerning merriment, what does this accomplish? I searched in my heart that I might excite my flesh as with wine, and my heart guided me with wisdom to grasp what is foolishness, until I might see what is good for the sons of men, that which they should do under the sun all the days of their life. I made my works great. I built for myself houses, and planted vineyards for myself. I made myself gardens and parks, and planted all kinds of fruit trees in them. I made pools of water for myself, from which to water growing trees. I acquired male and female servants, and servants were born in my house. And I had abundant possessions of herds and flocks, more than all before me in Jerusalem. I also gathered silver and gold for myself in the abundant treasures of kings and countries. I provided male and female singers for myself, and delights of the sons of men, and male and female cupbearers. So I became great, and advanced beyond all before me in Jerusalem. My wisdom established me. Whatever my eyes desired, I did not keep from them. I did not withhold my heart from any merriment. For my heart was made glad in all my labor, and this was my portion from all my labor. Then I looked on all the works my hands had done, and on the labor in which I had toiled, and indeed all is vanity, and is the choice of one spirit. There was no profit under the sun. Then I turned myself to consider wisdom, madness, and foolishness. For who is the man who will follow after counsel, whatever it is to do it? Then I saw that wisdom excels foolishness, as light excels darkness. The wise man's eyes are in his head, but the senseless man walks in darkness. And I indeed know that one event happens to all of them. So I said in my heart, As it happens to the senseless man, so it also happens to me. Why then have I gained abundant wisdom? Then I said in my heart, This indeed is also vanity, because the senseless man speaks of his abundance. For there is no remembrance forever of the wise man or of the senseless man, since now, as in the days to come, all things are forgotten. And how will the wise man as well as the senseless man face death? Thus I have hated life, because the work done under the sun was evil before me, for all is vanity, and is the choice of one spirit. Then I hated all my labor in which I toiled under the sun, for I must leave it to the man who comes after me. For who knows whether he shall be a wise man or a senseless man? Yet he will have authority over all my labor in which I toiled, and wherein I grew wise under the sun. Indeed, this also is vanity. So I turned my heart in despair of all the labor wherein I toiled under the sun. For there is a man whose labor is with wisdom, knowledge, and courage. Yet this man shall give his portion to one who is not honored therein. This also is vanity and a great evil. For what does a man have for all his labor, and his purpose of heart wherein he labors under the sun? For all his days are sorrowful, and the distractions of life is his. For even in the night his heart takes no rest. This also is vanity. There is nothing better for a man than that he should eat and drink, and that his soul should enjoy good in his labor. This also I saw was from the hand of God. For who will eat or who will drink without him? And he gives wisdom, knowledge, and gladness to a man who is good in his sight. But to him who commits sin, he gives the job of gathering and collecting, that he may give to the man who is good in God's sight. This is also vanity, and is the choice of one spirit. Chapter 3. To everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven, a time to give birth, and a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to pluck what is planted, a time to kill, and a time to heal, a time to pull down, and a time to build up, a time to weep, and a time to laugh, a time to mourn, and a time to dance, a time to throw stones, and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek, and a time to lose, a time to keep, and a time to throw away, a time to tear, and a time to sow, a time to keep silent, and a time to speak, a time to love, and a time to hate, a time of war, and a time of peace. What profit has the worker from all his labors? I have seen altogether the tasks which God has given to the sons of men to be engaged in. He made everything beautiful in its time, and he indeed put eternity in their hearts in such a way that man may not find out the work God made from the beginning to the end. I know there is nothing better for them than to rejoice and do good in their lives. Indeed, every man should eat and drink and experience the good in all his labor. This is God's gift to him. I know that whatever things God does, they shall be forever. Nothing can be added to or taken away from these things, for God did them that men would fear before him. What it has already been, and what it is to be has already been, and God will require an account of what is past. Moreover, I saw under the sun the place of judgment. The ungodly man was there. I also saw the place of the righteous man. The ungodly man was there. I said in my heart, God will judge both the righteous man and the ungodly man, for there is a time for every action and every work. I said in my heart, concerning the speech of the sons of men, God will judge them so as to show them that indeed they are themselves like animals. For what happens to the sons of men also happens to animals. One thing befalls them, as is the death of the other, so also is the death of the other. And there is one breath to all. So what advantage does a man have over an animal? For all things are vanity. All go to one place. All are from dust, and all return to dust. Who knows the spirit of the sons of men, whether it goes upward, and the spirit of the animal, whether it goes downward to the earth? So I saw that there was no good except that a man should rejoice in his works, for that is his portion. For who shall bring him to see what happens after him? Chapter 4. Then I returned and saw all the oppressions done under the sun. Behold, the weeping of the oppressed, and they have no comforter. On the side of the oppressors was power, but they have no comforter. So I praised those who were already dead, more than the living, as many as are alive until now. Better than both these is he who has not yet been born, who has not seen all the evil work done under the sun. Again, I saw all the labor and all the courage of the workers, that this is the zeal of a man because of his companion. This is also vanity, and is the choice of one spirit. The senseless man folds his hands and consumes his own flesh. Better is a handful of rest than 2 handfuls of labor, and it is the choice of one spirit. Then I returned and saw vanity under the sun. There is one, and there is not a second one, and he has neither son nor brother, and there is no end to all his labor, neither is his eye satisfied with wealth. But he never asks, for whom do I labor and deprive myself of goodness? This also is vanity and a painful distraction. 2 are better than 1, because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, one will lift up his companion. But woe to him who is alone when he falls, for there is not a second one to help him up. If 2 lie down together, both stay warm. But how can one stay warm alone? If one is added strength, 2 will stand before him, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken. Better is a poor and wise youth than an old and senseless king who will no longer take advice. For this youth shall come from the house of prisoners to reign, even though in his kingdom he was born poor. I saw all the living who walk under the sun, and they were with the youth, who will be established in the king's place. There was no end of all the people over whom he was made king. Yet those who come afterward will not rejoice. Surely this also is vanity, and is the choice of one spirit. Walk carefully when you go to the house of God, and draw near to hear, rather than to offer the sacrifice of senseless men, for they do not know that they do evil. Do not be hasty with your mouth, and do not let your heart be quick to utter a word before God. For God is in heaven, and you are on earth. Therefore let your words be few, for a dream comes in a multitude of distractions, and the voice of a senseless man is with a multitude of words. When you make a vow to God, do not delay to pay it, for his will is not in senseless men. So pay whatever you vowed. Better not to vow than to vow and not pay. Do not let your mouth cause your flesh to sin, and do not say in the presence of God, it was a mistake. Why should God be angry at your voice and destroy the work of your hands? For in a multitude of dreams there are vanities and many words, but you should fear God. If you see the oppression of the poor and the violation of judgment and righteousness in the land, do not marvel at the matter. For there is a high official to watch over a high official, and higher ones over them. Moreover, the abundance of the earth is for all. Even a king depends on work in the field. He who loves silver will not be satisfied with silver, nor he who loves the harvest with its abundance. This also is vanity. In the abundance of good things they will eat them also increase. But what virtue does the owner have from them, except to see them with his eyes? The sleep of the servant is sweet, whether he eats little or much, but the abundance of the rich will not permit him to sleep. There was a sickness I saw under the sun, wealth kept from its owner, for its owner to his hurt. That wealth shall perish in painful distraction. And he begets a son, but there is nothing in his hand. As he came from his mother's womb, naked shall he return, to go as he came, and he shall take nothing from his labor, that it may go with him in his hand. This also is a painful sickness, for as he came, so shall he go. And what is his gain, for which he labored for the wind? All his days are in darkness and sorrow, and in much anger, sickness, and gall. Behold, I have seen good. It is a fine thing for a man to experience goodness in all his labor, in which he toils all the days of his life that God has given him. For it is his portion. As for every man to whom God has given wealth, possessions, and authority, to eat from it, to receive his portion, and to rejoice in his labor. This is the gift of God, for he will not remember the many days of his life, because God distracted him in the merriment of his heart. Chapter 6. There is an evil I have seen under the sun, and it is abundant among men. A man to whom God shall give wealth, possessions, and glory, so he lacks nothing for his life, from all the things he shall desire. Yet God does not give him power to eat of it, but a stranger consumes it. This is vanity and a grievous sickness. If a man begets 100 children, and he shall live many years, however many the days of his life shall be, yet his soul is not to be filled with goodness, and he also has no burial. I say that a miscarried child is better than he, for it came in futility, and departs in darkness, and its name shall be covered with darkness. Though it has not seen the sun, or known anything, it has more rest than that man. Even if he lived 1,000 years twice, and has not seen goodness, do not all go to one place? All the labor of man is for his mouth, and yet his soul is not satisfied. For what advantage does a skilled man have over the unskilled man, since even this poor man knows how to keep himself alive? Better in the sight of the eyes than the wandering of the soul. This also is vanity, and is the choice of one's spirit. If anything has come to be, its name has already been used, and it is known what man is, and he is unable to dispute with him. Who is stronger than he, since there are many words that multiply vanity? What advantage does man have? For who knows what is good for man in his life? For all his days is life, which pass like a shadow, are spent in vanity. Who can tell a man what will happen under the sun after he is gone? Chapter 7. A good man is better than good olive oil, and the day of one's death than the day of one's birth. It is better to go to the house of mourning than to the house of drinking. For this is the end of every man, and the living will take it to heart. Sorrow is better than laughter, for by a sad countenance the heart is made better. The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, and the heart of senseless men is in the house of merriment. It is better to hear the rebuke of a wise man than for a man to hear the song of senseless men. For like the crackling of thorns under a pot, so is the laughter of senseless men. This also is vanity. Oppression makes a learned man dizzy and destroys his vigorous heart. The end of matters is better than their beginning, and a patient man is better than one haughty in spirit. Do not be hasty in your spirit to be angry, for anger rests in the bosom of senseless men. Do not say, why were the former days better than these? For you do not inquire wisely concerning this. Wisdom is good with an inheritance, and profitable to those who see the sun. For wisdom is its shadow, is as the shadow of silver. But the abundance of the knowledge of wisdom will give life to him who has it. Behold the works of God, for who can put in order him whom God made crooked? In the day of what is good, live in that goodness. But in the day of trouble, consider also that God made one harmonious with the other, that a man may not find out anything that will come after him. I saw everything in my days of vanity. There is a righteous man who perishes in his righteousness, and there is an ungodly man who remains alive in his vice. Do not be overly righteous, nor be overly wise, lest you be confounded. Do not be very ungodly, nor be hardened, lest you die before your time. It is good that you lay hold of this, and do not let your hands let go of it. For the one who fears God, all things will turn out well. Wisdom will help the wise more than 10 rulers in the city. For there is not a righteous man on earth who does good and does not sin. And do not take to heart all the words people say, lest you hear your servant cursing you. For very often he will act in an evil manner against you. Many times he will inflict your heart, just as you have cursed others. I proved all this by wisdom. I said, I will be wise, but it was far from me. As for what is far off and exceedingly deep, who will find it out? I and my heart went about to know, and to search and seek out wisdom in the account of things, and to know the foolishness, hardness, and madness of the ungodly man. I find more bitter than death the woman who is a snare, and her heart a net, and her hands are her chains. A man who is good in the sight of God will escape from her, but the sinner will be caught by her. Behold, I found this, says the preacher, adding one thing to the other to find out the reason, which my soul still seeks, but cannot find. I found one man among 1,000, but a woman among all these I have not found. Except, behold, I found this, that God makes man upright, but they have sought out many schemes. Chapter 8. Who knows the wise, and who knows the interpretation of a thing? A man's wisdom makes his face shine, and a man shameless in face will be hated. Keep the king's commandment, and spare no effort for the sake of your oath to God. You will go out from his presence, but do not stand with an evil thing, for the king will do whatever he pleases. In so far as a king has authority, he speaks. And who will say to him, "Why will you do this?" He who keeps his commandment will not know an evil thing. And a wise man's heart knows the time of judgment. For to every matter there is a time and a judgment, because the knowledge of a man lies heavily upon him. For there is no one who knows what is going to be, for who will tell him how it shall be? No one has the authority over his spirit to withhold his spirit, and no one has authority in the day of his death. There is no discharge in that war, and ungodliness will not save those given to it. I saw all this and gave my heart to every work done under the sun, wherein one man has authority over another man to injure him. Then I saw the ungodly buried in their tombs, and brought from their holy place and praised in the city for what they had done. But this also is vanity. For no controversy comes quickly against those who do evil. Therefore, the heart of the sons of men is fully determined within them to do evil. Whoever sins does evil from that time on, and for a long time afterwards. Nevertheless, I know that it shall be well for those who fear God, so long as they have fear before him. But it shall not be well with the ungodly man. He will not prolong his days, which are as a shadow, because he does not fear before God. There is a vanity that is done on earth. There are the righteous as when the work of the ungodly overtakes them, and there are the ungodly as when the work of the righteous overtakes them. I said that this also is vanity. So I praised merriment, because a man has nothing better to do under the sun than to eat, drink, and be merry, for this will be present with him in his labor and all the days of his life that God gives him under the sun. For this reason I committed my heart to know wisdom, and to see the distractions done on earth. Nevertheless, he received no sleep, day or night. Then I saw all the works of God, that a man cannot discover how he does his work under the sun. No matter how much a man labors to discover it, yet he will not find it out. And no matter how much a wise man may speak of knowing it, he will not be able to find it out. For I gave my heart to all this, and my heart saw all this, that the righteous and the wise and their works are in the hand of God. Whether it be love or hatred, man does not know it, although all things are before him. Vanity is in all things. One event happens to the righteous man and the ungodly man, to the good man and the evil man, to the pure man and the impure man, to the man who sacrifices and the man who does not sacrifice. As is the good man, so is the man who sins. As is he who takes an oath, so is he who fears an oath. There is this evil in everything done under the sun, that one event happens to all. And truly the heart of the sons of men is full of evil. Madness is in their heart while they live, and afterwards they go to the dead. For who has fellowship with all the living? There is hope, for a living dog is better than a dead lion. For the living know they will die, but the dead know nothing, and they have no more reward, for their memory of them is forgotten. Also their love, hatred, and envy have now perished, and they have no portion forever in all that is done under the sun. Go, eat your bread with merriment, and drink your wine with a happy heart. For now God is well pleased with your works. Let your garments be always white, and let your head lack no oil. Experience life with the wife whom you love all the days of your vain life, which he gave you under the sun, all your days of vanity. For that is your portion in life, and the labor you performed under the sun. Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might, for there is no work, or reasoning, or knowledge, or wisdom in Hades where you are going. I returned and saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, nor bread to the wise, nor wealth to men of understanding, nor favor to men of knowledge. For time and chance will happen to them all. For a man also does not know his time. like fish taken in a cruel net, like birds caught in a snare. So the sons of men are snared in an evil time, when it falls suddenly upon them. I saw this wisdom under the sun, and it is great to me. There was a little city with a few men in it, and a great king came against it and surrounded it, and built great barricades around it. Now there was found in it a poor wise man, and by his wisdom he rescued the city. Yet no one remembered that poor man. Then I said, wisdom is better than strength, but the poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words are not heard. The words of the wise are heard in quietness, more than the shouting of those who rule in foolishness. Wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one sinner destroys much goodness. Dead flies will corrupt the preparation of seasoned olive oil, and a little wisdom is more valuable than the glory of great foolishness. A wise man's heart is at his right hand, but the heart of a senseless man is at his left. When a senseless man also walks along the way, his heart will fail him, and everything he considers is foolishness. If the spirit of the ruler rises against you, do not leave your place, for soothing puts an end to great sins. There is an evil I saw under the sun, when an offense proceeds from a ruler. The senseless man devotes himself to great heights, and rich men shall sit in a lowly place. I saw servants on horses, and princes walking on the ground like servants. He who digs a pit will fall into it, and he who pulls down a wall will be bitten by a serpent. He who removes stones will be worn out by them. And he who cuts down trees will be endangered by them. If the axe head falls off, then his countenance is troubled, and he will put forth more strength. And in that case, skill is of no advantage to the man. If the serpent bites when it is not charmed, then there is no advantage to the charmer. The words of a wise mouth are gracious, but the lips of a fool shall swallow him up. The words of his mouth begin with foolishness, and the end of his talk is evil madness. A senseless man multiplies words. No one knows what is to be, and who will tell him what will be after him? The labor of fools wears them out, for they do not even know how to go to the city. Woe to you, O city whose king is young, and whose princes feast in the morning. Blessed are you, O land, when your king is the son of nobles, and your princes feast at the proper time and strength. They will not be dishonored because of laziness. The roofing will be brought low, and through idleness of hands the house will leak. They make bread for laughter, and the wine delights the living, but all will listen to money. Do not curse the king, even in your conscience. Do not curse the rich, even in your bedroom. For a bird of the air will carry your voice, and a bird in flight will tell the matter. Chapter 11. Cast your bread upon the face of the water, for you will find it after many days. Give a portion to 7 and also to 8. For you do not know what evil there will be on the earth. If the clouds are full of rain, they pour it out upon the earth. And if a tree falls to the south or to the north, in the place where the tree falls, there it shall lie. He who observes the wind will not sow, and he who sees the clouds will not reap. As you do not know the way of the wind, or how the bones grow in the womb of her who is with child, so you do not know the works of God. Even all things whatever he will do. In the morning sow your seed, and in the evenings do not withhold your hand. For you do not know which will prosper, either this or that, or whether both alike will be good. The light is sweet, and it is good for the eyes to behold the sun. For if a man lives many years and rejoices in them all, yet let him remember the days of darkness, for they shall be many. All that comes is vanity. Be glad, O young man, in your youth, and let your heart cheer you in the days of your youth. Walk in the ways of your heart, and in the sight of your eyes. But know, for all this, that God will bring you into judgment. Therefore remove anger from your heart, and pass by evil with your flesh, for youth and lack of understanding are vanity. Chapter 12. Remember your Creator in the days of your youth, before the difficult days come, and the years arrive when you say, I have no will to face them, while the sun and the light, the moon and the stars are not darkened. and the clouds do not return after the rain. In the day when the keepers of the house tremble, and the men of strength are led astray, when the women who grind the grain become idle, because they are few, when the women who look out the windows will remain in darkness, when the doors are shut in the marketplace, and the sound of grinding is low, when one rises up at the sound of a sparrow, and the daughters of song are brought low. Also they will look from the height, and there are terrors in the way. When the almond tree blossoms, the grasshopper grows fat, and the caper plant is scattered. For man goes to his eternal home, and the mourners go about the marketplace. Remember your Creator until the silver cord is removed, and the golden flour is pressed together, and the pitcher is shattered at the fountain, and the wheel runs together at the well. Then the dust returns to the earth as it was, and the spirit returns to God who gave it. Vanity of vanities, says the preacher. All is vanity. Because the preacher was wise more than others, he taught the people knowledge, and the ear will search out his well-ordered proverbs. The preacher sought diligently to find desirable words, and what was written is upright. They are words of truth. The words of the wise are like pointed sticks, like nails firmly fastened. They are given from the collections and abound from them by one shepherd. Moreover, my son, guard yourself, for there is no end to the making of many books, and much study is weariness of the flesh. Hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole man. For God will bring every work into judgment, including everything that has been overlooked, whether it be good or evil.